Today's film is Double Indemnity, but before we get started, I was thinking earlier that I would like to give you guys a choice for what film you would like to watch next to close out our film noir unit. The one that I put on the syllabus was the latest Batman film. But even with Batman, there's several great Batman films over the years. But I was thinking maybe something that comes from this genre, maybe something that bends the tropes a little bit. What would you guys think about doing? I know if you guys mentioned you like Knives Out. What would you guys think about doing that film?
That would be great. I love Knives Out.
You like Knives Out? A couple of the rest of you all mentioned you liked it. Um, so I was thinking maybe Knives Out was one choice. I like the movie Seven as well. It's called Seven, and it has Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt in it. It's a modern noir movie about,
That's an amazing movie.
yeah, it's a modern noir movie about the serial killer who's modeling himself after the seven deadly sins, and maybe maybe the Batman movie can be the third choice. So
I don't know what kind of. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
I don't know what kind of like movie you're looking into, but they got one called The Crow. I'd say everybody's watched it before, and it has a lot of stuff to do with cameras and light and stuff like that. And it's kind of like it's not really a superhero movie or nothing like that, but
Oh yeah, I know The Crow.
it would be a good one.
Yeah, Brandon Lee's untimely death from that movie's still a tragedy. Yeah, so well, let's go to gallery. So what do y'all? So you guys use your thumbs up to vote. Who would like to do Knives Out? Give a thumbs up. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I think the Knives Out's already winning by the majority. What about 7? Who would like to do 7? Zoe, Maggie. What about Batman? Who would like to do the Batman? But I think Knives Out has it as the winner. So yeah, I know that the original, the second one's on Netflix. I don't know about the first one. Do any of you guys know where you can find it? I have it on DVD. Do any of you guys know where you could find it? That might be one you have. I think that movie's in licensing hell right now. Some movies get stuck in limbo with licensing. So if we're going to do that one, that might be one you have to rent. But I think it'll be a fun one. It'll be a fun one. It's kind of more of a comedy, so it'll kind of take the hard edge off of all the stuff we have been watching. So I'll look forward to that. Knives Out for Wednesday. So next week we will start westerns. So next week our first film will be The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, or next Monday. And that film also stars Jimmy Stewart, who we know from Vertigo last week. So yeah, also the Duke, John Wayne. So classic film. I'll look forward to that one. So, of course, today's film then is Double Indemnity. It's a film. It was made in 1944. It comes from a famous novel. By, I think it's James Caan is the author of the novel. But the thing with the novel is it was written. This is a case where I would say the book is better than the movie is better than the book. The book is kind of rough for its time. It's got a lot of like corny dialogue and stuff. So like even when they were working on adapting this movie to the screen, they hired another famous writer to write the screenplay, a writer named Raymond Chandler. So Raymond Chandler is a very famous postmodern author from the later 20th century. So Chandler, you can actually there's actually a cameo of him in the film. I think it's when Neff leaves Key's office for the first time. He passes by Raymond Chandler, the famous writer. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have taken a class on American Lit 2, the American Lit 2, maybe with Nathan or Lily. But Raymond Chandler is usually a writer you would hear about in the second American Lit course. A very good writer. I don't know a lot of his works, frankly, because I'm more of an old literature type of person. But yeah, very good writer. So Billy Wilder is our director, and Wilder worked with Chandler to come up with this screenplay. And this film is known as being one of the definitive noirs. Probably I should have done this one first before Vertigo, but I had that nice PowerPoint made on Vertigo, so that's why we did that one first. And yeah, this film checks all the boxes for a noir. We have our femme fatale, Miss Diedrichson. We have Walter Neff and Walter's monologues. Some of the stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth, I think, is hilarious. He has some really good lines in the movie. But we have him and the whole scheme with the insurance scam and the murder, trying to get away with the murder. Of course, it all comes back to bite Neff because Mrs. Diedrichson is smarter than he is, so she's just playing him the whole movie. So, but it's also a movie made in black and white, so you guys can kind of see here too. Black and white offers. You think black and white's limiting, right? But black and white offers a lot of choices when it comes to shadows and lighting and things like that. And some of you guys wrote about that on the discussion forums. And so lots to go on here. And yes, you guys are right. I did not do a discussion question. Yeah, how could let's see. Before I continue with the film, let's go ahead and do our discussion question for the day. Let's do, what do you guys think about Southern's new mascot, the Sasquatch? Right? Do you approve? Do you disapprove? How do you feel about it? So let's make that our discussion or attendance question for today. Brian, is Brian with us?
I don't know how I feel about it.
Ambivalent. So Jesse. See Jesse. Daryl, what do you think about it?
I guess I'm a bit out of the loop where I'm fully online, but I wasn't aware we had a new mascot.
Yeah,
I think that sorry, you go ahead.
it's Bigfoot.
Yeah, you said Sasquatch. I mean, I think that's a cool one, and I'm glad that they have a mascot now. I've always liked the logo and the colors of Southern, but it did feel a bit empty without a mascot. So I'd say I approve of anything's better than nothing.
That's right. That's a good way to think about it, Daryl. Yeah, the blue collars are a lot better than the old black and gold collars. Isaac.
I'm kind of like him. I was out of the loop on it, but Bigfoot's pretty cool, so I'm all right with it.
Zoe.
Um, I think it's really cool that we have one, but it kind of reminds me of a PG character from Big Mouth. It's kind of funny looking.
I like the corny line with it. Put your best foot forward. Oh, I think that's pretty funny. Zach.
Yeah, I didn't know we had a new mascot, but I like Sasquatch. I think that's cool.
Kaylee Davis. Let's see your name. Ron.
I like it. I just think it's a little goofy looking.
I think you expressed, Ron, how I feel. Maggie.
I think it's an interesting choice. I've never seen a mascot that is a Bigfoot before, but I didn't really understand why they called him Best Foot.
It's that line. Put your best foot forward. Right? The motivational line. That's why they call him Best Foot.
Oh, okay.
Caitlin.
He's weird, but I like it. And I think he looks a little bit scary standing next to all the people in that picture.
Looks like an eldritch terror from an H.P. Lovecraft story. Kara.
I like it.
Jennifer. See you there, Jennifer. I'll come back to you. Meredith. Meredith. Jacob.
I didn't know we had one, so I just looked it up. Looks pretty cheesy.
Cheesy. Ashley.
Like the others, I don't really know how I feel about it, but I feel like they probably could have come up with a better name than Bestfoot. Like I get it, it's like Bigfoot and Bestfoot, but that name's super cheesy, and I don't know. I'm iffy on it right now.
Yeah. I feel the same, Ashley. Josh.
I like the idea, but the mascot is crazy looking like a horror character or something.
It's the stuff of nightmares. Holly.
Well, I would like to first note that my best foot has heard everything you've said about him. No, I love it. I think it's adorable. And part of it is because I did get a plushie today.
See. I did not see. Alex is Peyton. No. Chris.
I like it.
Yeah, so Holly's plushie approves. Taylor.
I don't love it, but I think it was definitely the best option out of the choices that we had.
Yeah, it was Sasquatch, Knights, or Squirrels. So those were the choices if you guys didn't know. And Josh.
Thought it was kind of weird looking, but I'm okay with it existing.
You're good with it. Yeah, ours at Bluefield State now is a blue dog. So they actually have the dog. They actually bring the dog to public functions. It's a very cute dog. So well, let's get back to film and Double Indemnity. So we could go lots of places. I have lots of notes from stuff that you guys wrote down. But
You still never called me, Jennifer.
yeah, I called on you, Jennifer, but you didn't answer a second ago.
Oh, okay.
What do you think of the new Southern mascot?
I haven't gotten to look at it. I was out of the loop as well. I listened to you guys. I must have just misheard when you called on me.
Yeah,
But I haven't got to see it. I'll probably look it up now.
Yeah, I marked you down. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so but yeah, there's lots of ways we can go here. Most of you guys wrote about Mrs. Diedrichson just because she's such a presence in this film. She's played by the famous actress Barbara Stanwyck from early Hollywood, and Neff's played by Fred McMurray. So both of those actors had very long careers in classic Hollywood. But well, let's just kick off with just general discussion. What did you guys make of the film? What did you think of the twists and turns? How did it stack up as compared to Vertigo? As far as being a genre piece.
I'd like to start with something, if you allow me, before then I can give the floor to my friends, if you allow me, of course.
Sure.
First thing is my opinion about mascot. I don't like how it feels because you didn't ask me about mascot, and I like it. It's an adorable idea. So this is aside. Relating, or as far as concerned the film, I did a research. It's just quick research about the names we have there. I mean, the names of the characterizations. And I want to share with you some ideas I found. Then we can just make or to draw conclusions and make links to what was going on in the film to see if those names represent or reflect the reality of the film or not. Neff as a name, it's here. People with the name Neff are generally active and attracted by physical senses. They may be opportunistic and pragmatic, and at times they can be very, very persuasive. This is Neff. And Phyllis as a name, people with this name are bold, materialistic, but rigid too. They have strong willpower and they love power and authority and leadership. They are good planners as well. The third one is Keys. Keys as a boy or a boy's name. In Old English origin, probably occupational name to do with the position of keys, okay, the keys. So here in the film, we will see that he has the keys of this kind of murders, of these crimes. Lola as a name, the name comes from Spanish name, Dolores, which means the Lady of Sorrows. I've here 4 names, and I think they are the most important names we have in the film. Then let's see if they have the same characteristics in the film or not. Thank you so much.
Yeah, where did you find that, Muhammad, the meaning of those names?
Yeah, the meaning of the names,
yeah,
just on Google, there is a website that gives you an idea about each name. You can just type the name and they give you the characteristics of personality or the personality of the name, which is a shared thing. It's not mine, but this is what I found.
Yeah, that's interesting how that matches up with especially Neff and Phyllis's character. Yeah, that's a good way to kick us off.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask you about the mascot, Muhammad, because it's a different school than ours, so that's why I didn't ask you. Daryl, I'm gonna kick off with you because you did a comparison with Vertigo with your response. tell us your thoughts.
I answered with the femme fatale question because I did last time, and I was curious the first time that you put the femme fatale question for Madeline or Judy, whichever one you want to call her. And I thought that maybe I was like thinking more of the conventional femme fatale, you know, like they have to kill people or they have to be very, very I don't know, Black Widow like as you describe it. And I was trying to stretch it to make her make that to fit into that hole. You know, I wanted to make Madeline seem like a femme fatale during that question. And then someone during class, you said that they had written their response saying that they didn't think she was one. I thought that it was a bit of a stretch, but I had to write about it again here because I feel like Phyllis is by definition one. Like she, I think you actually worded the question to seem like how did she create or help create um, the femme fatale genre as a whole, and I just wanted to say why she's much more of a femme fatale than Madeline in my response. And yeah, my general thoughts of the movie, I think I did like this one more. It's more of a traditional film noir, and Vertigo, as I said last time, it sort of had me at a loss for words on really what to say about it because it was a lot of different things happening at once. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie, and I do think that Phyllis is much more of a, by definition, femme fatale than Madeline would be. She commits multiple murders in the movie. She uses sexual attraction to get people like Walter on her side and believe her, and you know, sway these people the way she wants to get the money that she so desires.
Yeah, well said, Daryl. She definitely does use her feminine wiles to get what she wants. The scene at the beginning when she comes out in the towel, I can't express enough how risque that scene was for 1944. Right, that was an extremely risque thing to do in a film, and it seems kind of tame by today's standards, but back then it was pushing the censorship line, and of course the film definitely catches you off guard with that early, and also that shot, a close-up shot of her anklet, like Neff kind of obsesses over that a couple of times. Said, "Oh, it shows off her anklet to kind of sexualize her a little there." So, yeah, Holly, you had lots of good thoughts on her character too. You want to build on what Daryl said?
Yeah, I definitely feel like not only did she make the mold, but she immediately broke it. I think that it was really interesting to see how not only did she use her sexuality to influence everyone, she used her emotions as well. She really preyed on their emotions, like when she goes into the insurance agent's office and she is playing this part of the grieving widow, and then her whole thing with Neff was she had made herself out to be like an abused woman. And you know, she is not only a Black Widow type character, she's a master manipulator. And I mean, that's a really impressive thing to see in a 1940s film, for a woman to be the main antagonist and to be a really good antagonist. And I also think that it makes a lot of sense that the first person to see past her lies is Lola, because she's another woman, and it kind of breaks the illusion for Neff, and then he breaks the illusion for everyone else. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I liked what you had to say there about how, even though this character is clearly villainous, how in a way it's empowering, right? Because before this, it's rare, if ever, to see a woman character who's outsmarts all the men. And
Exactly. She she is a very, empowering character because she isn't the stereotypical archetype of a 1940s housewife. She's very different, and she kind of brought a new light to women in cinema.
Yeah, a lot of you, well, the rest of you guys had some good stuff to say about her too. Josh, you mentioned Josh Williamson. You mentioned Neff's, especially the lust, his lust, and how that kind of motivates him when it comes to Mrs. Diedrichson. You want to kind of tell us where you were going with that, Josh?
Yeah. See, it, really showed how hapless of a character Walter was, because the only thing motivating him, it wasn't even money or his own kindness. He was just, consumed by, his desire to get with her.
Yeah, that the moment that he laid eyes on her in that first scene, right? He was already scheming, like how he could get with her. Now there's lots of discussion. I saw a video from Turner Classic Movies on YouTube when I was preparing for this, and like usually you think to yourself, what motivates Neff in the film? Right? Is it his lust for her? Right? She clearly plays him like a fiddle. And is it his lust for her? Is it his love for money? Right? Is he in it for the money? Or
I would.
at the
I'm sorry.
beginning?
I'm sorry for interrupting you. You're talking about Neff. I'd like to say that as a person, okay, or a character in the film, if you see him, he's depicted or portrayed as a likable and sympathetic person. But in fact, if you see how the camera zoom on his ring and smoking a lot during, through the whole film, you can understand that this man is first might be engaged, and he is smoking a lot, which means that he is engaged and he is not having a happy life with his wife. Maybe he has some problems or issues related to the marriage. Is that why the first opportunity he had when he met, he met Phyllis at the and even the introduction, or the camera zoomed on Phyllis the first time. She was only covered with a towel, and it zoomed on her legs as well. It shows to you that this man was just looking for someone, where he can just forget about his problems. And it's another perspective from which you can see the reason or why Neff wants to commit this murder, because he was ready. The way was paved again, even by Phyllis, who assumed, or she pretended she had problems with her husband, so she was ready to help commit this murder. And there was there were different factors. It's not only money, as he started the film with, I killed a man for money and women, but the end of the film that he had no money and no women. So the reason I can see, what I deduce from the cameras and those, what we saw in the film, it was something inside. He didn't say, but we can understand that he had problems related to his family, I think.
Yeah, he lives alone in the movie, so I'm not sure if maybe he's divorced, right? Yeah, he lives alone. So does Keys, and maybe there's a past there for sure, Muhammad. Like he seems like he's got something to prove when it comes to winning over a married woman. in this case. Yeah, he's always feels like he's got something to prove. Where I was going with that before your comment, Muhammad, the Turner Classic Movies people said that this is actually a love story. And it's not a love story between Neff and Phyllis. It's actually a love story between Neff and Keys, right? Like they're not a homosexual relationship. It's about like the sort of father-son bond that they have, right? Neff is kind of like his surrogate son, so to speak. And perhaps what drives Neff is the fact that he kind of wants to he wants that validation, right? He wants to pull one over on Keys the whole movie. And it's curious that the movie ends with these two, right? Right when Neff dies, but Neff kind of tells Neff kind of plays it all jokingly, right? But they kind of have like a tender moment there at the end. What do you all think of that idea that the movie is more about that father-son bond than even it is about? Do you think that's what drove Neff? The fact that he wanted to pull one on Keys, or is it a combination of all these things, perhaps?
I think it's open to different interpretations. By the way, I like your take here when you talk about Keys and Neff relationship. And it was clear from the movie, from the beginning till the end, when they exchange the dialogue before the film ends. Okay, I love you too, which means that even the action, the murder itself, for Keys, he didn't want, to bring the company into this it's a kind of reputation here, because it was it was committed by his friend and his best friend. And this character, Keys, for me, I love and I like the way he was depicted and the way he was introduced in the film. Okay, different things that show you that he was very hardworking and overworked as well. Even his clothes, if you look at the sleeves of his clothes, his sleeves and the tie was worn over the waistcoat. It shows you that he was not, he didn't have time for this. He was always focused on his work and he was overworked. And the relationship between both of them, you can just understand it from the kind of the conversation they had there. So this is what I see. This is a style, but there are other factors. There are, as you mentioned, it's a combination of different factors here. It's not only one side. You can read it from different perspectives because it's still open on different interpretations.
Yeah, to build on what you said there, Muhammad, like they have a lot of interesting dialogue. Like Keys asking them about like his dating life, and Keys tells him he needs to settle down, right? And Neff's like, "You're not married either," and he's like, "Good point," right? So then part of then when when Phyllis, I keep saying Mrs. Diedrichson and Phyllis are interchangeable, so like whatever I say. And when she calls him at the office later, right, he has to pretend that it's his drunken good time girl, right, and not something more serious. So yeah, but that you can kind of see that maybe surrogate father bond between them there too, just in the banter of the exchange. It's kind of heartbreaking, right? Because you hear Keys' tape where he says he completely trusts Neff on that one scene. They're investigating him just because they have to, but yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking to see you feel that heartbreak at the end when he disappoints them.
It's true. It's related to our society also. When we have a lot of people, we trust them, but they shocked us at the end because they sees I mean, that opportunity, that trust, and they take it as something to cover their actions. And can you please, okay, if I come back to the film and they see Neff, he was not taken in, I mean, he was not thoughtful at, I mean, these actions. It was until the last day when he was just injured, where it was, I mean, shot at the end of the film. And look, even the places where they meet with the place where they meet to have their plans, it's something that shows you these people are just cold blood. I mean, they kill people, they commit serious I mean serious actions, and they meet where they go to a supermarket to meet and to plan for their actions. It's out of mind. You cannot think about it. You see, people, I mean, people, they just say, okay, it's fine. I commit, I mean, a murder for tomorrow. I will go and do my, I mean, my groceries. I do my shopping. So it's just,
Yeah, it's that classic, like, hide behind the newspaper in the public place trope that you see. Perhaps that originates here, Muhammad, with those scenes, especially like where they meet up in the grocery store and whatnot.
yeah. I was just laughing at that scene when I see, look, this is the person who committed the murder. Someone, I mean, lost his life, someone died, and they are there with, I mean, their things, they think they are doing their stuff or getting groceries, and they don't want to be sent all together. You had a plan in the beginning of the film to kill someone, to be, I mean, to meet your love and to live with each other. But look, they committed a murder and they just plan not to meet each other. I mean, it's like, what do we say, oxymoron? I don't, do we say oxymoron? I mean, contradiction, a contradiction. You have a plan at the beginning to be together, but when you did it, you plan again to be separate, not to be together.
Yeah, she kind of pouts about it in the scene before that, right? So she's like, shouldn't we be together? This was kind of silly, right? Like, but Neff is smart to pick up on the fact that they'll be investigated if they're seen with one another. Let me steer the conversation this way. What did you guys think about the whole scheme altogether? Right? Did you think that maybe some of you guys haven't talked yet? What did you guys think about their scheme? Like, did you feel like it was a brilliant scheme? Do you feel like it would have worked if it wasn't for that freak occurrence that man on the train talked to Neff? What did you guys even think about the fact that the man on the train didn't recognize Neff later? So, were you, and with the scheme, let me ask you guys this: with the scheme, were any of you guys rooting for Neff and Phyllis? Right? Or did you want them to get away with their murder? Right? So I'm gonna call on you, Zach. What do you think about that? The scheme, and were you rooting for him to get away with it?
At the start, well, no, not really. I kind of was throughout the movie because I like Neff, but I feel like very early on you sort of realize that neither of the characters are really can be found redeemable for what they're doing. I mean, Neff is trying to steal this guy's wife, basically, and Phyllis is trying to kill her husband. And so there's not really a very redeemable thing for either of the characters, I feel. But at the same time, it's like you've been following these characters since the beginning of the movie. And so it's kind of hard not to root for your main characters sometimes. But for me personally, I didn't really want them to get away with it. But I did I don't know. I'm kind of split a little bit.
Yeah, I asked you that question, Zach, because you took theater with me. If you remember when theater, we talked about Aristotle and his belief that a tragic story can never have someone who isn't good. And well, here this story is definitely tragic, right? But we have somebody who isn't good. So I think Aristotle would have probably hated this movie if he would have saw it way back in ancient Greek days. You remember all that from theater, Zach?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that this idea: can you have a movie where you root for the bad guy, right, or a story where you root for the bad guy?
That's what I feel like. It's not so much like, I mean, he's obviously the bad guy. So I don't know if I even really say I was rooting for him, but maybe more so that I feel bad that for the character for getting into the situation in the first place when he obviously shouldn't have, like what even the movie explains how he sort of fell in love with Phyllis at like first sight, but it's like so much so that he acted out so drastically immediately. Like I just feel that it is tragic, but also, I mean, it's very clearly his fault. I feel like but basically all of it, that he got himself into that.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. You wrote about especially Keys and their relationship. You had some good thoughts there too. What about some of the rest of y'all? What do you think about the scheme? Well, do you feel like they could have gotten away with it, or is this like a theme of fate? Right, fate's not going to let them get away with what they've done. I ask this because one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when after they put the body on the tracks, they get in the car and the car won't start. Right. So they have to you think to yourself then, oh gosh, is their scheme over? But then the car does start. So I think that scene is put there to show this theme of fate. Right. In let's say 999 times out of 1,000, would they have gotten away with this? But this is that 1 in 1,000 chance that they didn't. What do y'all make of that question?
I think Neff could have gotten away with it if he had kind of gone through with what he said he was going to do and framed the other guy. I don't think Phyllis could have gotten away with it because Keys was on her trail.
Yeah, he was all over, especially her relationship with Zucchetti. And so perhaps Neff could have. Maybe that's when Neff becomes redeemable, right? Because he starts with he creates a friendship with I forget the character's name, the stepdaughter. He enters into a friendship with her, and that seems to be when he sort of recoils from Phyllis, especially. He starts hearing about how she killed her mother. Neff starts kind of waking up then to, okay, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Ryan, what do you think of that question? 999 times out of 1,000, would they have gotten away with it? Maybe he's not there. Chris, what about you? What do you think about that one? Anybody can take it. What do you guys think? Zoe, I haven't called on you yet today. You, like I said, you've always got good stuff to say. What do you think of that one?
Okay, what was your question again?
999 times out of 1,000 would these two have gotten away with their scheme?
Mm. I personally don't think you can. Sorry, I'm getting a little sick. I don't think that you can really get away with evil things.
Right.
So overall, no, I don't really think they could have gotten away with it. Mainly on Phyllis's part though, because she was just not trustworthy. Like I don't believe she could like keep a major secret like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, especially like if you believe, especially your beliefs, right? Like if you believed in God and good versus evil and stuff, right? Would God allow these characters to get away with it, with their scheme?
It's not even that like I believe in that. It's just that I just personally feel like if you do bad, bad's gonna happen to you. I guess like karma. I believe in karma and fate and stuff. Like what comes around is gonna come get you.
Right. Comes around, goes around.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yes, these types of stories are intriguing to us. Like we think about how true crime is a popular genre today, right? And oftentimes these murderers and stuff will get away with it for years and years and years until something comes unraveling down around them. So we're kind of, I think all of us as a society are kind of fascinated with this idea of how do you get away with the perfect, how do you get away with something like this, right? When does it all come unraveling down? Well, the other direction I wanted to go with class today was the actual direction of the film. We've mostly talked about the themes and the characters, but a lot of you guys had some good observations about lighting and cameras and shadows and things like that. One of my see, one of you guys mentioned today that let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Maggie, yeah, Maggie. I really enjoyed your comment. It's just I don't know if Maggie's with us after she wrote that. She's not with us after she wrote that comment. But Maggie mentioned the scene with where Keys comes to visit Neff about 2/3 of the way through the movie, but Phyllis is inside the apartment, and she mentions there how the camera is positioned in a way where you can kind of see all three characters' perspectives. You kind of you see her behind the door, you see Neff, and then you see Keys going towards the elevator, and that builds a feeling of tension. Just that camera angle, right? You think to yourself, "Is what if Keys walks just a couple of feet down the hall and sees her?" Right, so you're wondering in that scene if they're going to get away with it. So she wrote a good post about how the way that camera works. It's like a crossroads. Like Neff can either choose to go towards the light which is keys, or go towards the darkness, which is Phyllis. So I wish she was here to explain that, because she wrote a really good post on that. But Kara, I enjoyed your posts about some of your observations too, about the lighting and stuff. You want to tell us some of your observations?
Another thing I thought that really influenced the mood, other than the shadows and the lighting of the scenes, was the music in the background. How like whenever Neff meets Phyllis for the first time, it's like really suspenseful. And he's saying that he wishes that they didn't have the staircase to separate them. Like it's just really suspenseful with the music in the background.
Yeah, you often hear that dun dun dun. You hear that a lot you hear that little riff a lot in the movie. I would have to go back and look, Kara, to see what music's playing in that scene. I didn't make notice of it. Yeah, sometimes the best movie music is music you don't notice. Right. Sometimes the best movie music is unnoticed, is stuff you just don't pay attention to. Zoe, I liked your point too about lighting. Your point about the murder was intriguing.
Yeah, like whenever Neff killed the husband, it showed Phyllis's face. And usually like when murder occurs, like it's all dark and gloomy and like shadows everywhere. But on her face, it was like oddly bright. Like the lighting wasn't dark and like mysterious or sad. And then like she had like a little smirk on her face. So like it just showed that she wasn't a good person.
Yeah, that close up of her smirk is chilling, I think.
Mm-hmm. I just found that very interesting that like during the murder scene they didn't make the lighting on her like dark and gloomy, considering like she's a bad person. But like instead they put her in like a spotlight sort of.
Yeah, to build on what you guys said, another scene I noticed was when Neff was going down the stairs in his apartment, but right before the murder, like the top of the stairs are lit, the bottom of the stairs are dark, so he's almost like he's descending into darkness before he commits that murder.
Yeah, it's the same again when the camera got him from his back, going to the garage, going into something dark. And the same thing happened this scene on, when they want he left the train on the track, and he threw the scratches. If you see the parts when the camera turned to Phyllis to give him the light, it was very dark there. So dark and light play a very important role in this film. It shows you that struggle between evil and good. That way you can get from. That's why I always say all the things there go as a block all together. Music, the sounds, the dark, lightning, cameras, the dialogues, okay, they go as a block. That's what makes the film as a successful product.
Yeah, let me ask you this question, Mohammed. Do you feel like this movie would have been as effective if it was in color compared to black and white?
I personally speaking, I like these old films and I like them this way, but I think if it's in color, it would not be successful as it is as this one.
Right, mostly because of what you mentioned about lighting and
Yes.
Yeah.
Because here we are going to lose something that's what do we call it as added value for the film, which is lighting, and it's very important in each film. Nowadays, I don't see that the film will keep the same value if it's lost, if it lose lighting in the film.
Yeah, if you guys remember, I asked you that same exact question about Citizen Kane, right? Would Citizen Kane be as effective if it was in color? I wouldn't. My opinion on that one's no, right? Because again, I like that the way black and white does lighting and shadows and whatnot. Jennifer, I haven't asked you a question today. What do you think? You feel like this movie would have been better in color, or do you like the black and white?
I think black and white fit it pretty good.
How you doing? Good.
I actually have been enjoying the black and white films. I don't never watch them. Like I Love Lucy. I watch stuff like that. It's black and white, but it looks good there too. I don't know.
Right. So, yeah, you see, you mentioned I Love Lucy, right? That's definitely a classic old sitcom in black and white. I think there's a couple of examples of old sitcoms where some of the episodes are in black and white and some are in color. I think Bewitched was one of those. If you don't know if you guys have ever seen Bewitched, I think
Yeah, I used to watch it too.
yeah, the early episodes were in color, were in black and white, and the later ones were in color. I think that was the one that started transitioning over. Yeah, a couple of guys mentioned at the beginning of the class. I forget who said it, but when we talked about Citizen Kane, a couple of guys mentioned that you might have felt a little distaste for black and white. Did any of you guys start the class like I never watched black and white, and now like maybe you're seeing the value of it a little more? Or
I never liked black and white until I started watching these movies, and it really took up to this one until I finally like realized that black and white does give it more like character and makes it more interesting. So I have grown fond of black and white movies.
that's good to hear that you're seeing the artfulness of them. Back then they had limitations, right? So making a movie in color in 1944 was super expensive. So you can kind of see how the director works with the limitations to create something artful.
I think if you ask people, I mean, this question would they like black and white films or the color ones? I am so sure that they will opt for color ones, especially nowadays people in these generations. But it depends on the level of the awareness of the person who is asking this question. If you are addressing this question to people and make them aware that black and white films, it's not because black and white as a color, but as something to explain to them that goes between, I mean, between the characters, between the event in the film, to explain to them the cameras, to explain to them, I mean, the lighting in the film, because in the film we are not watching only the story, we are watching many things there. Okay, they are put there as as a film. It has something to say, but not everyone knows what is it. They need someone to guide them, to show them what is the meaning behind that position. Why exactly the camera took this right, the right corner, and now why did it take the picture or the shot from the inside, not from the outside? Why is the value of darkness there? It's, you see, half dark and half light. Why is that? All of these things, when we start taking this class, we start realizing new things that we need to pay attention to whenever we watch films, be it dark and white or color one, because this class changes the view or the vision of the viewer. You stand there, it's not just like you watch a film as a professional person, I mean, as someone, as a critic. You understand, you raise questions. So this is the value of this class. This is why I always say thank you for explaining these things and make them easy for us to understand what we watch.
I appreciate that, Mohammed. Yeah, I have had students before who've taken this class tell me that it completely changes how they watch movies, because like you stop just being a consumer of movies and you start becoming a critical critic of movies. And those are two different mindsets. So, but you can find enjoyment in being a critic, right? Like, yeah. Have any of you guys noticed this? Have any of you guys noticed that you're doing this? You watch a movie or a show outside of class?
Yes, I have done this. I actually done it the other day. Me and my friend were dyeing my hair, and I think we were watching. Oh gosh, what was it? We were watching The Old Wizard of Oz because it's one of my son's favorites, and I was kind of explaining to him how it goes from like that, not even really black and white, but that brownish color to color. And I explained to him how big that was for a movie back then. I explained to him like what it means. Some things they did, I was like, okay, so you see the witch, she's like a femme fatal, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful scene in Wizard of Oz, that transition when Dorothy steps out of the door and the whole world's in color. That's definitely a magical movie moment. I need to teach that one in this class sometime. I haven't ever taught it. I need to
You really should, because I feel like it would be a great movie to teach for this class.
I don't know what are some of the rest of you guys? What are some of the rest of you guys, like Alex, you're starting to notice this stuff even outside of the class.
Yes, I've noticed it's made me so much more observant of shows and movies that I'm watching. So it's really interesting. It gives you like a new mindset on how to like analyze movies and shows and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. I like to hear that it's making you think more critically about what you're watching. It's a fine line, because you want to have entertainment just for entertainment's sake, but at the same time, it's valuable to think about what you're consuming and not just consuming it.
Yes, I want to add something, if you allow me. Here, I am so sure and certain that everyone who is taking this class will change the vision from which he, or the perspective from which he watches the films, especially if you watch with your friends, with the family. You start doing some things that they just start looking at you. How did you know that? How did you see that? Invisible. You see something invisible for them. It's just under their nose. It's there and they couldn't see it. You know why? One thing very important here is your consciousness. As a viewer, we keep our consciousness watch movie as an action, as an event that happened there. But now we try to give our consciousness other signals. I mean, look, it's not only event, there are some things we need to focus on in the movie. Look at the lighting, look at the camera, listen to the music. So our consciousness starts having something and developing and some competencies that not everyone has them, and that allows you to watch the movie from different points. I mean, you analyze it from different points. And I am so sure when you finish this class, I mean, by the end of the year, you will develop and you will have this kind of abilities to see the film the way that is not everyone, I mean, that is not common to everyone. It's an invisible, unseen. You see the unseen.
Yeah, you guys will all start to notice good direction versus bad direction or generic direction. So I feel like during the Oscar season, you guys will start to look out for these things more.
I actually watched the Oscars this year because I never watched it because I never really understood what they meant when they said certain things. So I was like, okay, I don't care about this, whatever. But now I do, so I'm probably going to watch them.
Yeah, best actors and cinematography and direction and posers. Right, there's all kinds of categories, and sometimes the best movie doesn't win. Like we mentioned, Shawshank Redemption, it won 0 Oscars. So Double Indemnity back in 1944 also didn't win any Oscars. So sometimes the Academy misses out on some good stuff. Well, some of these movies we will watch, they've won tons and tons of Oscars. So yeah, so it's a toss-up. Well, if you guys came in late, just to wrap up class, we voted at the beginning to watch the movie Knives Out for Wednesday. So that'll be the one that we'll watch Wednesday, Knives Out, Daniel Craig. The movie's got an ensemble. It's got a great cast, but Knives Out's a noir, but it's also more comedic. So I feel like it'll give us a lot of good stuff to discuss. So we're doing that one Wednesday instead of Batman.
I apologize for being late. They ended up not capping my son's tooth. We have to go back because they have to knock him out because he's 2 and crazy. So they couldn't do it today.
Yeah, that's all right, Alex. Hopefully they'll get them in soon. You have to wait a while.
They're going to try to get me in within the next 2 weeks. They really want to cap it because it's really close to being on the nerve and causing him pain. So, yeah, we have to get it fixed.
He's probably feeling very irritable.
Oh my gosh, he's so angry. I'm surprised he's playing by himself. He's been mad all day.
We will hopefully it won't fester up on him too much more between now and then.
Oh, and I told him that I couldn't be scheduled on a Monday or a Wednesday. I wouldn't have took him today, but he chipped it yesterday and he's been complaining. So I rushed him down there because I thought that he was in pain.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, so I need to rewatch Knives Out for to write discussion questions. So I might be up until tomorrow posting the questions. So just keep that in mind. By tomorrow evening, I'll try to have the questions. I'll give you at least 24 hours to write your answer. And don't forget as well that the paper's coming up. So if you guys want to send me an early draft or something, feel free. And I have plenty, even though I'm not at Southern now full time, I still have plenty of office hours where I can meet you virtually. So if you want to discuss an early copy of your paper, feel free. But otherwise, I think they're due at the end of the week. And yeah, don't forget about those. So, well, you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all again on Wednesday.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you, Mohammed. See you
Have a
tomorrow.
nice day.